online, so we'll go ahead and get started. Will you pray with me? God, we thank you that you are present with us in every time and every moment and every situation and circumstance of our lives. And so we thank you for being present with us here in these moments. Open our hearts to the ways in which you are at work in us as community this day. And thank you for the many ways you have been with us through all the years of the ministry at Resurrection MCC. Bless us and bless those who are speaking to us, and for the questions and the answers that you will have for us this day and in the days that come. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm also tasked today with introducing to you the members of your board of directors and to tell you the roles that they play on the board of directors and for you. So, because several of them will be speaking most specifically today, but all of them are at your service each and every day. So I will just run through them for you. Raymond Turner is your vice moderator, and you just sort of stand. And he is the chief layperson of the congregation, just so you know that. In the absence of a pastor, he's your go-to guy. There you go. Kathleen Scheel-Hopper is the clerk, not only of the board, but of the congregation. Doug Perkins is your treasurer. Bill Russell is the assistant treasurer. Billy Ray Priest is the administrator. I don't even know for sure exactly what that means, but he knows, and it's all written down. He administrates stuff. Z. Broussard is new on the board and is your resource development person, which means fundraiser. Where is Z? Oh, Z is right here. Veronique Walker is community presence. And last but certainly not least, Irene Gutierrez Fowler, board development. And those are your elected board members. Connie is also our moderator. So there you go, Connie Wright. You may be seated. The purpose of today's meeting is to talk to you a little bit about church finances and some recommendations that the board has gone over. And two main speakers today will be Doug Perkins, your treasurer, and also Raymond Turner, the vice moderator. Doug will bring hopefully brief financial overview. I know you hear from Doug a lot about finances. Please be attentive to him. And then Raymond is going to bring the recommendations that the board voted for unanimously, I must say, that were at our last board meeting. And the board felt it was very important to bring these recommendations in a town hall format to you so that the congregation could be aware of the situation. And then following that presentation, we have an open discussion, a time for questions and answers. And if we do not know the answer to the question, someone is going to be writing those questions down so that we can have answers to them going forward. And then we will have a closing prayer to end the morning. So I will turn that microphone over to Doug Perkins.
Good afternoon. And first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. It shows that you love the church, you're concerned about the church, and you continue to provide your board, your feedback, and dealings with the church. I have a responsibility as treasurer, a few things. I provide the annual financial report. I provide a monthly financial report to the board. I'm responsible for developing the budget, to facilitating the development of the budget, along with leading the budget committee, and then providing you with information anytime that I feel that it's significant financial information that needs to be shared with you. So that's what I'm doing today. I was referred to a couple weeks ago when I was sharing some of this information as the Grim Reaper. So hopefully you'll see me in a different light than that, but I still may need a hug after this, after today. So I want to share with you information about the finances of the church as they relate to the 2024 budget, and those are general tithes, miscellaneous income, and fundraising. In the category of general tithes and offerings, as you recall, when we brought the budget to you, I informed you that we would need an increase of 10% in tithes. I must share with you that we have not fully achieved that 10%. I want to thank those who did increase their giving, because there were quite a number of you that did go online, change your recurring gifts by 10%, and those a few of you have offered that, or at least the ones that do not have recurring gifts, so that's really hard for us to tell how much you're giving without going 2 or 3 months. But would like to thank those that have already done so. That increase was needed to meet our budget at the time. I will tell you since then that there were several gifts for reasons unknown where people have decreased their tithes and offerings on recurring gifts. That amounts to around $20,000 a year. We have lost 2 congregants having passed this year, and most recently in November and December. So their gifts will not be realized that were included in the 2024 budget. In the category of miscellaneous income, we did include certain rentals as a part of that budget. We did lose one tenant, which will amount to close to $10,000 annually. And then part of our rents, one of the tenants offered to rent additional space, and they provided us with rent in advance, and we did actually use that money to finish out the space that they wanted to rent. So that's really rent that we won't see for about 10 months. Big Tex Bingo, we just found out this week, for those of you not familiar with Big Tex Bingo, we have a bingo license. They operate the bingo sessions, and they provide us with payments back as a nonprofit. 2 years ago, we got $40,000 from Big Tex Bingo. Last year, we got $36,000. So it was going down, roughly 10%. We did find out this week that due to changes in Texas law, that they were allowed to provide higher payouts, higher prize payouts. And that has actually had a negative effect because there's either more competition or what have you. I don't have the full details on that, but I do know that in the past they had ran bingo sessions 7 days a week. They are down to 2 days a week. And this year, instead of $36,000, we should expect somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000. So very, very concerning. Another $24,000 of lost income that we did not expect. Fundraising, I will share you, we have not started fundraising yet this year. We did have a couple late Meet Me at the Manger gifts in January, which helped. But our Easter and anniversary campaign will start in March. It'll go through April. And our goal is $25,000. Drag Bingo underwriting will probably start, and I haven't talked with Billy Ray about this, but probably be reaching out to you to underwrite prizes, prize money, and expenses, probably starting in July. October 19th, I believe, is the Drag Bingo this year. So our goal is probably close to $10,000 on the underwriting gifts there. And then Meet Me at the Manger will be in December next year, and we have a goal of $27,000. We need all these amounts to meet or even come close to the budget, in addition to monies where we have lost either tithes or rents. Capital campaign, we need repairs. Our building is old. Right now, we have a need that probably exceeds $100,000 that we do not have in the bank in repairs. We have roof repairs, that multiple roof repairs are needed. Outside the bookstore, outside this door right over here, you just take a look at the roof or the eaves and see where we need it. We have a kitchen hood that's barely keeping our catering operation in there, our tenants there, the caterers, and that needs to be replaced. And we have several air conditioning units that are going to need replaced as well, or repaired. All those things add up. I will tell you that even though those are what we need now, we've been told to expect about $100,000 in repairs every year for this building. And we also need a financial reserve. We can't afford to be running on empty all the time. If we have another hurricane, our property is insured, but we have a very high deductible. I believe it's around $60,000. For us to have $60,000 in the bank to cover that and get going as quickly as we can, we would have to have about that much money or raise it very quickly. So sort of in summary here, our operating budget has a shortfall of around $135,000 when you add all those things up. If we are to dip into our operating reserve, that will take about $11,250 a month out of our bank account, where we have a negative budget. Currently, our operations account has about $75,000 in it. So I'll let y'all do the math. Our maintenance and repairs I just mentioned is about $130,000 total. Current project account balance is $2,400. So we're going to have to raise some money to keep the building in safe and secure fashion. Emergency reserve, I already mentioned we need about $60,000, in my opinion, just to have a safe cushion in the case of a natural disaster. I have a couple more slides here on what you can do right now, and then we're going to talk about the recommendations that Pastor Candace mentioned. You can give financially, and I know a lot of you do. A lot of you give other than financially, but I can tell you it's really, really important. No matter how much time you give to the church, if you could afford just a small amount, start small, start regular, but donate financially. We really, really need it. If you're already giving, you can increase your generosity. Again, thank you to those who have already done that. 10% won't do it. So if you can come anywhere close to that, if you've not already done that, that would be most helpful. Another thing that I believe we've shared with you, but your gifts made by credit card incur a 3% fee from our processor. So it's right off the top. So what we'd ask you to do is to add 3% to your intended gift to sort of recoup those costs. Also ask that if you're not giving online with a recurring gift, to make it regular. That helps us with predictability of the budget. Would ask you to consider that. If you're not doing a recurring gift, which is kind of predictable, I can see when you make changes. If you don't have a recurring gift, fill out a commitment card. We passed those out in December, and I think I got 5 back. So if you're making donations either by text or online every week or every 2 weeks, but not doing it on a recurring basis, doing it online in that fashion, please consider filling out a commitment card. Another thing is to notify us of expected changes to your giving. In the last couple of years, I've seen people retire and their gifts go down. Other gifts go down and just, I don't have an explanation for those. It would be helpful in preparing and executing the budget to know when you anticipate things, if you would share that, either with the pastor or me or with Terry Zinn. Any kind of life event. If you're foreseeing retirement this year, loss of income, unexpected or expected, or if you're moving, let us know, please. That will help us tremendously. We also ask that you give of your time. We've asked before. We really appreciate all of our ushers and greeters and communion servers. But what we really need, in addition to that, is for those that have special talents that would help us avoid costs. We pay for some of our musicians, we pay audio visuals, we pay for signers, childcare. We have a church work day that if you help and have special talents there, we mentioned before that we could save costs if you would donate those, your time in those respects. We also have made a decision this year to sort of reinvigorate our membership committee, our stewardship committee, our fundraising committee. If you have special talents in those areas or have an interest in that, we would really appreciate you coming forward and letting us know. We do have space for rent. We have weddings, parties, funerals, other type of events, business events, non-business events. If you have a need or you know of other people who have a need, please pass the word. And you can support the tenants that we have here financially as well by availing of those services. We have dance studios, we have jazzercise, we have a school for special needs. We have lots of tenants that you could potentially utilize. I guess lastly, I would ask you to pray for your board, pray for your church, pray for the budget, pray for income, pray for us, our ability to reduce expenses. What your board is going to do is we're going to look at adjusting the 2024 budget. We're going to have to reflect the losses of income and adjust for the expected changes to our expense budget as well. Very lastly now, I'm just going to tell you, on January 6th, we had a financial roundtable. We had 3 board members, 3 previous board members, and Pastor Candace participated all day on a Saturday to come up with what we thought might be some recommendations to improve our financial position. That group made over 20 recommendations to the board, and on January 22nd, the board unanimously voted to implement all of those. And with that, I'm going to introduce Raymond Turner, who's going to share with you those recommendations.
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to start by saying thanking you for coming out today, and also to thank our board because we've been working extremely hard on your behalf. And a special thanks to our treasurer, Doug Perkins, who has really dug deep to kind of put things together and present to us today. So, as we stated earlier, the board did meet after the Finance Committee had met and reviewed all the recommendations that they had made. And these are the recommendations that we approved, and we're presenting them to you today. Number one would be, under general tithes and offering, would be to conduct a stewardship campaign to increase our tithes and volunteering to save on some of our expenses. Under fundraising, we're looking at conducting our Easter anniversary fundraising campaign as budgeted. In regards to our miscellaneous income, which relates to rent, we are going to raise rent, and we're going to be giving a 90-day notice. Currently, most of our rental occupants, they have free use of the phone, internet, and other services like cleaning, etc. We're considering adding a cost for that. Under some of our departments, we're asking our Worship Arts Department, our AV lead, and our social media to look at reducing their expenses in those areas. We have notified our UFMCC that we will be keeping our current giving at 2.5% until we're able to recover from this financial crisis. And finally, this recommendation here is being proposed, but it's not been acted on. It is something that we have to explore, and that is looking at the church property. We are forming a committee to look at either potentially someone purchasing the property, a portion of it, or all of it. That's one reason we're having the town hall meeting, to discuss that and put that out to you. If the decision is not made to sell the property, then we would have to look very hard at a capital reserve study and an engineering study, so that we'll be able to start looking at how we're going to be able to afford some of the repairs and to continue to maintain. So we have appointed a committee, and those committee members are Bill Russell, Dewana Jernigan, Jackie Marshall, Eddie Dominguez, Billy Ray Priest, Doug Perkins, and myself. So at this time, we are going to open it up for questions. We'll turn it over back to the moderator.
So we have a microphone set up here. If you have a question, we would like you to come to the mic and say your name so that everyone knows who you are, and then ask the question of who on the board or who you would need to ask the question of, and they will respond as best they can. So at this time, if you have a question at all about what's happening, please come to the microphone, say your name, and then ask your question. Thank you.
Dr. Renee Adams, I just wanted to ask the finance person, how does Casa del Toros fit into our budget and all the losses that we have? Basically, how does Casa del Toros fit into the whole budget?
Well, I mean,
Because I hear you say we have a lot of renters, but that's not clear whether or not they're renting or we're still carrying them.
no, the Casa de Todos does not pay rent. They're part of our diversity ministry. We did actually move them. They were having services here in the sanctuary, and we moved them to the chapel because we thought that was a better environment for the size of their attendance at Sunday services, and it did help us reduce costs some. So we have looked at that. We think we're at the level that we need to be, at least for the time being, and continue to support diversity here.
My name is Kedrick Brown. I serve as one of the deacons, and one of the persons on staff is one of the choir directors. I've sat in your position as a board person. I've sat as a congregant and as staff. And much of these meetings, I hear everything about money. I never hear anything about growth. And growth in the church, growth in the people. Ever. And I say that because in the last year, as the leader of the gospel ensemble, I struggled with getting people back. In this year, we grew because as a leader of that ministry, I decided to meet the people where they are. And we went from 8 to 12, and on some Sundays in the last quarter of the year, 20. This last concert, if you were there, raise your hand. I've gotten many, and still getting many compliments about that concert. Again, I met the people where they are. They wanted to sing. That reunion choir did not happen by chance. That happened because God gave me a task. So what is the church's task on growing the people that have the wallets and the purses and the pocketbooks to bring in the money so that we're not struggling. We're not talking about selling this church. This church has been around since 1972. It is the oldest LGBT organization in Harris County. We cannot have it dissolved because we don't have people. We have money, people have money, but we don't have people. Where's the budget for the people? That's my question. Where's the budget for the people?
So I'll need some help here. This is my opinion, because I've been going to the church on and off for 15 years now, 16. My impression is this is a big church, grew into a big church with a big budget, and now the attendance is not what it was. We had 300 to 400 people here on Sundays. We don't have that anymore. I mentioned a membership drive or a membership committee, and I agree with you. We need to get people back. I don't have all the answers of how to make that happen, but I agree with you. There are people that just sort of seem to disappear and you never see them again. Now, COVID was hard on attendance, but in preparing for my remarks today, I looked at last year. We have about the same attendance. So I was prepared to say we have a waning attendance, but it's about the same as last year. And I didn't look back too much farther, although I know that historically we did have a couple hundred more here every Sunday, dropping money on the plate. So that has definitely negatively impacted us. Raymond, did you have anything?
So to help answer your question, I agree that, well, first let me just say this. Thank you for the concert that you put on. It was wonderful. And we appreciate the fact of all of your efforts, and we acknowledge what you're saying. We do need a membership drive, and that was one of the things that have been explored as doing a membership drive. I guess it's a matter of putting a plan together on how we do a membership drive. And part of our stewardship campaign is going to include a membership drive. But it's going to take efforts, it's going to take information from congregants like yourself and others giving us feedback as to where we need to go and reach the people. And I know we experienced a great, significant loss during COVID, but we've recovered from COVID, and we can't keep blaming COVID. So we have to realize that what efforts do we need to do to make it better. So be assured that that is one thing that this board has on its agenda, is looking at its membership and increasing its membership.
So I do ask,
Yes, sir.
as soon as possible, please
I
put
agree.
together a board leadership, just like you have the financial groups. We need the membership drive. That needs to be priority. I'm sorry. That has to be priority. Church is not about a roof, building, and foundation. It's about the people. And if we don't have the people, we won't have the money.
Mojo Johnston. I have faith that when we install a new pastor, people will come back, even if just out of curiosity. But when they come back, we have to make them feel welcome, and we have to get them involved so they will stay.
I must say, wow, I applaud Kedrick about the membership drive. I applaud him. I'm totally with him. And I'm so thankful for your leadership, the memberships who are active, and the goal for the membership drive. But what's the plan? How do we retain the members to stay at a more even keel? Because what's happened when we were impacted, the work, it impacts the visitors and they get the wrong impression and don't stay. So what is our plan to keep visitors here for a longer period of time? I always enjoy seeing our youth that come before. I'm not talking about COVID. We're done with COVID. But sometimes I see new faces show up and then they disappear. What is our plan to keep them coming more continually? Thank you.
I guess that goes along with our membership drive and maintaining and making sure that our visitors and even our current members still feel welcome at all times. It's a joint effort, not just from our board, but also from our members in our congregation to ensure that we reach out to members when our new visitors and even our members when we don't see them, to follow up with them to see, hey, what's going on? So we all have a part to play in that part.
My name is Terry Talley. I've wondered since COVID, what is the impact of streaming? I know we have a lot of members that never came back after COVID, and they just stay home and watch our service online. But did we lose giving from those people? Did it stay at the same level? Do they just stream and not give? I mean, I think I want us to figure out how to get people out of their sofas on Sunday morning and back in the pews. Because I think it's easy when you're watching a television show a streaming show like that. It's kind of just real easy to forget to write the check or whatever. And I just want to know what impact that's had of streaming on the giving. Has it made our giving decrease because people are...
We probably should do some kind of a study about that. I attended a memorial recently in the gathering place, and I had two guys come up to me and introduce themselves, and I said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And they said, "Well, we know you because we watch you every Sunday. We're the couch potato streaming people." And I said, "Oh, okay, we watch you every Sunday." And we used to attend, but with COVID, and we got comfortable doing it this way. Now, I don't know if they give as well or not, but we probably could find some way. Suzette, are you watching? To see if we can capture who's watching and see if they're also listed as people who are giving. One of the interesting things that I've seen, and I only came across this fairly recently, is we have this whole Resurrection MCC online church.
Right.
There are over 300 people who regularly interact with us online. I kind of doubt that most of them are regularly giving, as are people who are here regularly sitting in the pew. And there's probably some overlap of the online church people from the seated in the pew people. But that's probably something that we want to study. The other thing is probably we want to check with Rhea and Georgette and some other folks to see what kind of follow-up is happening with first-time visitors. We had a first-time visitor this morning who I think is still sitting here. What kind of follow-up are we doing with first-time visitors? Because I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure there must be some, I just don't know what it is. And outline what that's going to be, and then be faithful to following it as we go forward. Because there are ways of doing that can be helpful to keeping people. And then plugging them in places where they want to be plugged in so that we can retain them. I think that this congregation, my experience of this congregation is that you are welcoming, that you are, you want to be, huggy. You want to do that with people. I've seen some folks say, "Oh, well, they're so cliquey." I don't experience particularly clickiness. What I do experience is that it's hard to, people go right out the door. I stand over there, but there's nobody hanging around in the gathering place following worship. There's not a whole lot of socializing that happens after church. There's a little bit of it that happens here, and maybe that's what people are seeing as cliques, I'm not sure. But most people, worship happens and they're gone. And a lot of times that after worship thing is where people can feel connected. And that's not happening. So that's an area of improvement, I think, that you could look at. So I know that.
Okay, and one comment I'd like to make. I know these online classes and offerings that we give are not, I don't believe they're of any cost to them to attend them, but possibly when those are happening, they're getting the benefit of the church, they're getting the benefit of the pastors and the presenters and the material, or, you know, that the presenters use from the church, that we could push offerings out there too. We don't have a problem pushing offerings in this building to people that are coming and being fed. You know, when I stream things, most of the time they're wanting me to give them a fee to, you know, to join it's not a church things, but I think it ought to be part of that process, because you're talking about 300 people, and if those 300 people were sitting in this church paying 10 to 20% in tithes, we wouldn't have this problem. So I don't think there's a problem with asking, just like you ask us to dig deep. These people online, a lot of them are members too. They're, you know.
There are a lot of things, like I'm on a couple of different, you know, and they almost always, there's a fee to attend an online class.
Right.
I know that the Center for Action and Contemplation, if you want to attend something, there's a fee. The one that Sister in Erie, Pennsylvania, there's a fee to attend an online something or other. So that's something that we might want to think about. Yeah.
And yeah, because I mean, you could even do it in a like suggested donation way, you know, to help benefit the church, so we can keep somebody make an appeal.
No.
No.
You don't get the link until you pay the fee.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to address the first question first, then maybe I'll turn it over to Raymond. But the answer to do the online participants, congregants give, they do. Do all of them give? Probably not. Do they need some encouragement? Yes. And do they take time before they start giving to the cause? Yeah. So first time online, probably you're not going to be giving a lot of money or supporting the church.
Right.
But I tell you, we do have people that have left the area and moved. They continue to give. But I've also seen very generous congregants, and I won't say COVID after this, but after COVID, they started watching online because we have a better, wider online audience. They started watching online. We don't see them here much anymore. They say they participate, but their tithes have gone down. And to me, it's a shame, but we're probably going to see more of it. We need to sort of put a lot more energy in that and ask and make them know that, or let them know that it is important to support it, because that's not free.
And maybe provide them with the information in Sunday services at offering time that we've just received here, so they really know how serious it is that we need their giving. Just a thought.
Yeah, I will add that the whole QR code on the back of the pews, that concept was born at least partially out of the things that we have throughout the week. The prayer groups, the line dancing, the this, that, everything. including the Bible study and so forth. I want to give people an easy opportunity and a reminder that we do need their financial support.
Okay, thank you.
And it was our board member, Billy Ray Priest, that came up with that idea to put it on the back of the pews, and we're now flashing it at all of our online stuff. I'm with you, Lee.
I'm Rhea Jared. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. There was a question about what kind of follow-up we give with first-time visitors. I wanted to say from my perspective, one of my parts of ministry, I send a handwritten postcard to every visitor that comes through our door. I try to personalize it if I can. If I get comments about, how they found out about us, or they came with their children, or whatever the case may be, and I invite them back. Then there are a couple of emails that they get. One is, again, from me, thanks for checking us out, and it tells a little bit of stuff about the church. And then they get a final one right now from Pastor Candace, something about our faith, your faith journey, I think is the name of that one. And it's email, and we get some bounce backs because they've given us incorrect information, because a lot of people don't want to give you the right information because they don't know who you are yet. And Reverend Denise, I know that she has someone that is also then following up with those people, and she could speak to that. But I just wanted to say there is some follow-up, although it's not necessarily personal. I mean, like calling and speaking to someone face to face.
Thank you for sharing that.
Good afternoon. My name is Shari McLaughlin. Two things. The first thing I want to say is going back to Kedrick's response. So Kedrick brought people in, and I'm speaking from a person that sang every first and third Sunday for many, many, many years. And you take that sabbatical and you go away. And at the time where I felt like I wanted to come back, I did. But the communication continued. So I want to say it's the communication from the individuals who lead or have some type of facilitating responsibility to the greeters, the ushers, the sacristans, all of those different people that reach out. If you are not communicating with, and I think Rhea talking about communicating individually, that's a top line communication. But then when you go down and the people that directly impact what you've been involved in communicate to you every week on a regular basis, whether or not you are currently engaged and involved, that's very helpful. So I think that's one of the things Kedrick did that continues, and you get updates to know what's going on in that organization or in that ministry. That's very helpful. The next thing that I want to say is, Raymond, you mentioned a capital expenditure survey. Can you tell us what that is and what that does and what that will do for us in the long run?
So the whole goal of the stewardship campaign was to address some of the shortfall with the finances, and also looking at a way of increasing our membership. It hasn't been developed yet. We are still trying to develop it and to try to understand what we need to include in it.
I think you're referring to the Capital Reserve study? Yeah.
Oh, the Capital Reserve. That's Doug.
You hire a company that does capital reserve studies. They come in and they take a look at all of your systems and structures. I'm talking building, facilities. They take a look at the age of everything and when it might need replacing. So they take a look at air conditioners, flooring, carpet, roofs, wiring. They look at the building. They look at everything. And they say, okay, this air conditioner has been there since 1942. Well, and it needs to be replaced last year. And at today's prices, it's going to cost such and such. Okay, but you replaced this air conditioner last year. It has a 15-year life. So you need to save up this much each year so that at year X, you will have enough money in the bank to replace that unit. Your roof was replaced 10 years ago. It has 5 more years life. you need to, it's going to cost you this much, we think, in that year's dollars to replace the roof at that point. That means you need to save this much each year in order to have the money to replace the roof at that point. They pull all of that data down, and it says, okay, over the course of the next 20, 30 years, every year you're going to need to save this much money in order to meet all of those expenses that you're going to have in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 30, in order to maintain your property appropriately all of that time. So in year 1, you may need to save $150,000. In year 2, you may need to save $80,000. In year 3, you may need to save $300,000. But they lay all of that out for you. You pay them to do that, but then you have a plan and you look at it and you go, yeah, basically, that's what happens. That's what a capital reserve study does for you.
And Dr. Ivan, I just want to say, do we have an idea of what something like that costs and how long it takes for that type of study and how long it would take to do that?
It depends on the size of your property as to how much it costs. Let's see, King of Peace had one done for its building, which was much smaller than this, and I think it cost about $5,000, and it took 4 to 6 months. So this is a much larger property, and of course King of Peace took a look at that and went, oh my God, and eventually sold their building because it was going to cost them almost immediately $750,000 just to fix the roof and the air conditioners, and they did not have $750,000. My last act as moderator was to lead them in a congregational meeting to pursue the sale of the building. And, you know, that was sad, but necessary. I know they now have a building that is still old, but they paid cash for it because they got enough money from the sale of their building to pay cash for the building that they have. And so they have no mortgage, and they have money in the bank in order to do the repairs that are necessary for the building that they bought. So, but yeah, it costs a lot of money to do a capital reserve study. But my sense is that if you do one for this building, you will be told that there's no way you're going to have the money. You're not going to be able to set aside the amount of money that you're going to need to do what's necessary for this facility. That's my honest opinion. As your GAP pastor, I get to tell you that sort of stuff. And then go away.
My name is Willie White.
We're all having microphone problems today, so it's okay.
Okay. My name is Willie White, and I was happy to hear about the follow-up for the visitors who come. But as I listened to the comments about membership drive, I'm inclined to say that we need more than a membership drive. I come from a tradition, old country tradition, where the preacher gets up and says, the doors of the church are open. And basically that is an invitation to membership. And I think one of the shortcomings of MCC in general, and Resurrection MCC as I know it since I've been here, is that we do not give people an opportunity to become members in an ongoing and consistent way. There are times when we have had membership classes. I'm not sure how people found out about it, but all of a sudden there's an induction of 10 or 15 people. But it's like they just kind of materialized. And it seems to me that on any given Sunday or every Sunday, in addition to welcoming newcomers, we open the doors of the church, invite people to membership, invite people to the classes. The other thing I'd like to say is that I'm not sure how many years I've been here, but it seems that this church has a reluctance to make money and offerings a part of the worship experience. We have things like drop boxes and online giving, and I know online giving is part of the modern era, but there is no substitute, in my opinion, for giving during the worship service and making that giving a part of the worship service. One of the things that we have had, we don't have it right now, but we've had Making Ministry Happen. The preacher would get up and preach, the pastor, preach a sermon, and then somebody else would get up and do another little sermon called Making Ministry Happen. But they don't say, what I'm really up here for is to encourage you to participate in the offering, to give money to the church, to give money to the ministry. Instead, we say, Making Ministry Happen. So I tell them my life experience in the church, blah, blah, blah. But I still don't say, give your money, give your offering, give your tithe. That's what we really need to be saying, not just making ministry happen. And I just think that's a shortcoming. We really need to, and since Reverend Candace has been here, it seems that we have moved a little bit toward that of having the offering as a part of the service. She comes and stands, and the offering is brought. We're bringing this as an offering to God. That's a part of our worship experience. And it shouldn't just be given and disappear. You know, I don't want to go on and on about it, but I feel very passionate that we need somehow to return to making the offering a part of the worship experience. And I commend the board for all the work that you've done, and I understand the frustration that you're going through. I've been a Baptist pastor. I've studied, Robert and I've studied 2 MCCs, and so I understand the struggle, but there are certain little things that I think we are missing. And one of those things also is our relationship with the fellowship. It pains me deeply to have the largest fellowship, of the largest congregation in the fellowship, negotiating with the fellowship about our support. I think it is spiritually shameful that we are doing 2.5% support for the worldwide ministry of the Universal Fellowship of Metropolitan Community Churches. We are asking the congregants to dig deep, to give tithe and offerings, and then we are going to back up as a congregation and say, we can only afford 2.5%. I think we as a congregation need to sincerely look at that and pray about that. And I think it's all part of the same package. Thank you.
So I assure you, we had even considered changing part of our worship and how we conduct our service, but one of the concerns that the board had is that we would wait until we had a new senior pastor, but that's not something that we cannot take back to the board and to our worship arts department, and we'll also take back about the reduction of the UFMCC donation. We'll take that back to the board.
I waited very quietly for a long time. My name is Debbie Morelli. I was a lay delegate here for several terms before this last one. And I was here when
Can you speak in the mic, please?
I was here when we decided to buy this church, when we talked about it was an old church and what it was going to cost us to have this church. We were packed the first day, like literally, there was no room to sit. We had people standing in the wings.
Excuse me, Debbie, I can't hear you. Could you speak?
I'm speaking about as loud as I can speak without yelling.
I was just thinking if you're going to turn to the people, if you could bring the microphone with you.
Here's what I'd like to say. We have to look at why people didn't come back after COVID, because I know for a fact most of the people that were stuck in their houses for a year were looking for a place to go and looking for ways to celebrate. And I agree 100%. We should have people that want to give, and we should celebrate that giving. But what are they giving to? What are we offering them? To Kedrick's point, what are we offering young kids? We all know this. This is not, rocket science. We all know that churches are on the decline because people lost their faith. I'm 60 years old. How many people in this room right now are under the age of 45? One. Two. Oh, so okay. Where are all of the rest of the young people that have to carry this forward? There's a reason I don't come into this church anymore. There's a reason. Don't get me started. Don't get me started, because I'll name names. Because you have people that don't want a person of color as a pastor. You need to listen to what the people are saying about why they don't come. Am I telling the truth? Not really. Yes, I am.
She's telling the truth.
I'm telling the truth.
She's telling the truth.
People can have their own opinions without you repeating things that are not factual.
That's not transparency. That's not transparency. You have to be transparent about what the problem is, because you have to clean it up. You have to fix it in order for it to grow forward. I want this church to succeed. My wife used to ask me, why do you keep going there? And I used to say, because I believe in the church. I believe in why it was started. It was the man who got me to say, I can go back to church when I read his book. I want this church to be here for another 25 years. I started going to it 25 years ago. I became a member almost 25 years ago. I love this church. I know Vicki was the soul of this church, and I miss her. But what she called us to do, to be that outreach, tell me where we're outreaching. Tell me who we're pulling in. Tell me what the reason is you're giving people to walk through these doors and stay, because we used to have Loaves and Fishes. Anybody else remember Loaves and Fishes, when we used to sit at tables together and eat after service? We can't do that anymore. Why not? I agree, but there's a lot of ways around it. We have to start thinking outside of the box. We can't continue to do it the way we've always done it and expect it to change.
Yes.
You want to know how much I love this church? I continue to tithe even after I didn't come here. You want to know how much I love this church? Those drag bingos, I never asked for credit on any of it. But the guy who used to run it knows how much I used to give, because I believe in the church and I believe in the ministry. That's where my heart's at. But I can honestly tell you, I don't know whether I'll be back through these doors again. And that's where I'm at.
little different direction for a few moments. First of all,
Can you state your name?
I'm sorry, Dan Lindquist. And I have been over 35 years with this organization. Not steadily, I did leave it a couple times when I got upset about things, and I did come back to it. And it is my commitment for the rest of my life. But it's this organization. It's not necessarily this building. I understand that most every church in the country is at half of what its attendance was before COVID. And that's a realistic fact. People have different priorities and so we have the chance to raise our giving and give to the building, or we might want to look at selling this and finding a smaller building that we can afford to be in and do the ministry that we want to do instead of paying for the building. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maria Walker, and I want to just talk about my experience for a minute. I don't like confrontation. I don't like talking to people, so this is a struggle, but I just want to share that I'm from Arkansas, and going to church there, I was in and out because I am gay. But when I came here with my wife, I felt like I reconnected with God, and that's why I'm still here. I have left the ministries before because of the way that I felt like I was treated. Nobody was listening to me. And I only came back because my wife is on the board, and I said, well, how must that look with you going every Sunday, you know, listening to the problems and with no support. So I'm kind of back just to, you know, stand by her side. But I also am here because God talks to me here. And you know, I appreciate that. I appreciate the congregation, the church. I do want to say that I hear a lot. A lot is blamed on young people. And where are the young people? Where are the people? Where is this? Where is that? Sometimes when we, the people ask, and people, first of all, people cluster young people all in this young adult group. My wife is almost 40. In the mind, I'm like 70. So we don't fit into what you consider to be young adult. So sometimes we'll ask, well, we want to buy a house. We've got to get out of this apartment. Can you please give us a financial class? Oh yes, go find the people and we'll start looking, and you lead this and you lead. How will we know how to teach something that we don't know is the question. And then also, I want you to know that we love everybody here, but there are times when we're in and out. We can't deal with, let's go to work every day. We're having so many issues on this job. This is going on, this is going on. Oh yeah, by the way, on Sunday, on Tuesday evenings, Wednesday, when the board meets, when this rehearsal is, we're gonna have the same problems because there's so many issues in the church. So many issues with people not treating people right. So not only do we have to deal with it here, we have to deal with it. And then we're looked down upon because we don't show up. And it's like, after a week's worth of stuff, why would we want to come? More stress, more stress, more stress. And just some of the issues we're having with retaining people, some of it is us. And I'm just being honest. I'm sorry. I have felt judged in this church. I have felt excluded in this church. I've listened to people fuss at the board and my wife because we couldn't have the correct alcohol at a church event when I'm standing here a recovering alcoholic. We have excluded each other. And so the board is working very hard. I tell her all the time, you have a second job. They're working hard. I appreciate them, but some of it's us. Some of it's us. Thank you. I'm sorry, and thank you.
I'm Reverend Denise Junius. I'm going to be real brief, but I just want to say that it's also important to see what's happening right here today. You're here because you love this church and you care, and there are people who are not here who love this church and really care. Thinking about what you said earlier, I'm going to face this direction, Kathleen, about not being able to hear. So I want us to always think about what we do well. Because in the last year, we installed our 12 deacons, and they've been doing an exceptional job caring for this church community. And they continue to do that. And so I just want to say that we do a lot of stuff really well. And it's important for us to look at where change needs to happen, but make sure that we retain and keep doing what we're doing. Because I do believe that God is in this place. God is here. And so for those of you who are carrying the load for the rest of us, thank you. Thank you for continuing to show up, because it's very important. Regarding the new members, we have revamped the new membership class to make it more so that people can tell us what they're looking for, what their hopes are. We're also, instead of having the membership class on the Sunday and the Saturday or Friday or whatever day it is, and then the very next week they're installed as a member, we're giving them time to be able to plan to come and be introduced to the congregation so that they can also invite their families. So those are not things that you all will see, but these are things that are happening. We also have a deacon who's assigned to the new members who does an outreach, and we're also getting our clergy more involved in setting up meetings with people who come within the first 30 days of them coming. So there's stuff that's happening that we only report once a year about what we've done. So we need to shout out more about what we do well in this church. And part of that is the ministry moment that you mentioned. So if we don't tell the story, you don't have the story. So we've got to continue to tell our story Sunday after Sunday and throughout the week. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. I'll just leave it at that. But Kedrick, you did an excellent job for the concert. Church is not, everybody wants something different. We all want different things from service. For some people, they come because they just need to feel connected, feel like they belong, and it's a social thing. It really, truly is, so that we don't want to deny that. There are other people who are fed because of the music and the experience that they have when they experience God in this place through the music. So that's an important part of what we always have to work on and make sure that we are changing as the needs change. And so we need to do more of that. Then other people come because the sermon is important. So we have a lot of different needs, and just remember that we're trying to meet the needs of a lot of different people. And that's not easy work, but it's people like me, you, and all of us together, remembering that it's not just how I feel, but it's how all of us feel. And all of that's equally important. The last point I finally remembered, the young people. When I meet with them, what they tell me is they don't necessarily want to come to worship service, but they will come to events here at the church, but they don't want to be forced to feel like they have to be in worship. They have different needs. And so we have to be able to listen to them and to help meet the needs, because church is changing. Church is not every Sunday morning. Church is everywhere. We take church with us everywhere. So we don't necessarily have to see somebody sitting here to know that they are part of us. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. because we've got our next gen group, and they've been telling us what they need and what they want, and we've tried to meet those needs, and we continue to try to meet those needs, but there's a lot of needs that have to be met. So my hope, my prayer for everybody is to take care of yourselves, get your rest, pray every day for this church, and keep showing up.
Thank you, Pastor Denise. We'll take two more, and we'll kind of close this after an hour. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Reverend Mona Lopez, and I have had the privilege of growing up with Resurrection as my church. I started at the age of 19 over on Joanne Street. I find it interesting that we're having this conversation on Transformation Sunday. Now, being 19 to where I am now, next month I'll be 69, there has been many transformations that has taken place within Resurrection, whether it's been through church buildings or pastors that have come and go, or pandemics that we've had to live out and live through. There has been many changes in our coming and our going. And myself, I've even come and go, mostly to go to school, but come and go. Ministry changes. And in the world in which we live now, it's a complicated, multifaceted dilemma that we are in, trying to meet the needs of every single person. Can we market the church better? Yes, we can market the church better. Are there things of individuals that we can do better? Yes, we can, individually within our own life. But that is a connection with the Spirit and the divine that we individually have to take on. Now, we can serve through our time and through our money, which is greatly appreciated and what we need right now. But it is a commitment that that seems to be on the couch at the moment. And I know that because I used to be one of those people on that couch, because for an entire year, I loved the couch. And if it wasn't for Reverend Denise getting me off of the couch, it was very difficult. I probably would still be on the couch, actually. You know, because on the couch, I could see 5 different services at one time in my pajamas, you know, and drinking my tea and my hair a mess, and I didn't have to go anywhere. It's very convenient. But when we get out of that rhythm of doing little, and we transform our lives into doing something for other people, we find the happiness that is there. And that's something that in this world, in such a need of connectedness, which we have, a need for connectedness, we can do better at, okay? There are lonely people sitting on the couch contemplating what to do with their lives. There are individuals who are facing health dilemmas sitting on their couch, wanting someone to hear them. Do we get prayer requests online? Yes, we do. And I answer them personally, and I stay in contact with them. Can we do those better? Absolutely, okay? There are behind the scenes efforts and talents that the congregation doesn't know at home that is going on, that is all a dedication of someone's time that they have in their service to the Spirit of which they honor. In a world that's so complex to where there's a lot of negativity, can we shine the light brighter? Yes, we can. So in this Transformation Sunday, as we not only look at the church to see where it stands, is the church the building alone? No, it's not. But I do believe that God has been working, our Spirit has been working within this church from 1972, because I'm still here. And Have people been healed here? Yes. Has there been miracles here? Yes. Have there been, unfortunately, people hurt? Yes. Will it go away? Probably not, because we're people. We're people, and we're imperfect. But we can get better. And so the ministries, it takes time. It takes people willing to give it their time and give it their talent, so much to have. A little bit at a time. How do we start this journey? One step at a time. And then when we look back, we find out where we've been. And that's what we've done. We have pictures on the walls that shows where we've been. And we can still do it, and we can go further. Whether it be in this building, God knows. But the ministry of resurrection is alive, and it needs to continue. We're aging, so we do need to find a way of which to transform and reinvent ourselves to the needs of those. There are people out there that need to know. 9/11 happened, all of the churches was filled. The people had to go somewhere. 2 weeks later, they were empty again, okay? There is a need, but we want to make it long-lasting. And the only way that we can do that is by touching the souls of so many. We, as being the lights of people, we are those lights that touch people. We need people bringing in, we need youth coming in, but we have to see what they need too. Ministry is about meeting people where they are, and everyone knows that. And so therefore, if it's a guitar service, great. If it's a jam session, great. If it's meeting out at a place for Bible study, great. Let's do it. Let's reinvent ourselves and transform ourselves into the vessel that God wants us to be. Thank you.
Georgette L. Monahan. I too do not like to get up and speak, and I really don't know what I'm going to say. I've listened. I've heard a lot of stuff. I've heard some things I didn't hear before. I've been at this church for a long time, and the reason why I come to this church is because God is here. And the reason why I love my God is because I want everybody else who steps in that door to know that God loves them, whether they come and back or not. I want them to know that God loves them. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is for everybody that's right here, right now, stand up and help. Stand up and help with some ministries. I have so many ideas. I just don't have the energy to put those ideas into working. But we need to work together. And this is for God. This is not for this building. This is not for the board. This is for God.
On behalf of the Board of Directors, we want to thank you for coming. We want to thank you for your feedback. We, as a board, are very transparent. You'll notice in the mobilizer, we'll be posting updates throughout the mobilizer. But we thank you for your feedback. We wanted to hear your feedback. And the feedback that you've given us today has given us more information that we can take back as a board and look at it and maybe come up with some more ideas. But either way, we still need you. We need us as a church to continue with the ministries that we provide in this community because they are helping. They help us, they help others. So we thank you very much. Pastor Candace.
Let's rise as we are able and pray. God, what a blessing you are to us. And we really want to be a blessing to you. You have blessed this congregation for over 50 years. And people have come and gone, and most of the original people aren't here anymore because you've received them into your glory. And we give you thanks for all of the people through the years that have made this place possible. You've given us a vision for what's possible. And you've given us a mission and core values that continue to inspire us and to inspire others. And so we give you thanks for the ways that you continue to be at work in us, individually and corporately. Thank you for the passion that we have for you and for our life together. Continue to keep that passion alive in us so that no matter what the future holds, we may always be inspired by your Spirit and might always keep in your will and in your way. Bless us as we part from one another. Bless us as we continue to seek to love one another and all of those that you bring through these doors and those that can never come through these doors for whatever reason. But let us continue to love as we have been loved by you. Keep us safe as we part from one another this day until we can come together again to worship and to praise and to work for you. In Jesus' most holy and blessed name we pray. Amen and amen.
Board members, can you wait 1 minute? All board members.